Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at Lottie Animations and the Lottie Animations block that's been included in Kadence blocks, the free version and also the pro version as well. Now, if you don't know what Lottie Animations are, they're just little animations that you can add to your website to create an enhanced effect or even improve conversions if you use them correctly. And they've become really popular. You see them all over the apps in the App Store and in other tools and other websites as well. And now you can have that capability in your Kadence website. We're going to be looking at a few examples of how to implement this properly for different purposes. And by the time we're done, you'll be very familiar with how to use Lottie animations in your designs or in your projects. So if you guys are ready for this tutorial, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so let's take a look at a few examples of how we can use the Lottie animation blocks in our designs and in our projects. So here is a e-commerce website, and as you start to scroll down the homepage of this website, you'll notice that in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a jumping GIF box, right? And this is a Lottie animation. That's how we created this box. And if somebody were to actually click on the box, then it would bring up this opt-in. They could fill out their information and get whatever the free thing was, whether it's the coupon code or the gift or access to whatever it is that you have behind this opt-in. So in this particular use case, we're using the Lottie animation to draw attention to the opt-in, and this is a great way for you to increase conversions on your website. Another place where people tend to use Lottie animations is in their 404 pages. Now, a 404 page is simply a page that people land on when they click a link that may be broken on your website, or they're trying to visit a page that no longer exists or a page that never existed. You want them to land on a page that has more of a use than just telling them that they've landed on a broken page, right? So using a Lottie animation is a great way to draw some attention to some items you may have on that page. And in addition to the usual, oops, you landed on a page that does not exist text, you can redirect them back to the home, or you can feature some additional products or additional blog posts that they can interact with from that page. That way it's not just a dead page. Okay. Another example of a place where you can use a Lottie animation block is also on your contact pages. So when people go to the contact page, they have typically a form and some contact information that's on there. In this case, it's a form, and we're kind of using this Lottie animation to draw some attention to the form. They can go ahead and fill out the form, and it just makes the page a little bit more dynamic, makes it a little bit more interactive and more memorable for that user. And let's say they do complete this form and they click send a message. Then the next thing that you could do is you could redirect them to a thank you page. You can also do this when you're selling products, where you redirect people to a thank you page, and then on that thank you page, you can make it a little bit more exciting using a Lottie animation. For example, say somebody filled out this form and hit send a message, it would then take them to this page where it is a nice simple thank you, and you have the fireworks going off. Okay, so something like that could stick in the mind of a user and just make your website a little bit more memorable. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're actually going to walk through creating each example of what I just showed you, and by the time we're done, you'll be able to integrate Lottie animations with your website very easily using Kadence blocks. For the benefit of those who are following along with the tutorial, what I'd like to do is start with a fresh install of WordPress. I'm going to go ahead and install all our tools so that you know how to be able to do that. Fortunately, the Lottie Animations block is actually available in the free version of Kadence, so you don't need the pro version to be able to implement some of the layouts that I showed you earlier on. However, there are some that will require the pro version of Kadence in order for you to implement some of the effects that we use. So I will make a good distinction on those so that you know which is which. All right, so you have your fresh install of WordPress. We're going to go ahead and go to the dashboard. We're going to go ahead and install the Kadence theme by going to Appearance, Themes, and what you're going to do is you're going to click on Add New, and we will search for Kadence, and then go ahead and install it. And once it's installed, click on Activate, and then once it's activated, you can go ahead and delete all these additional themes that you no longer need. I typically like to have a very clean install, so any additional themes that I don't need, I will delete those. Okay, then next we need Kadence blocks, right? So we're going to go ahead and go to our plugins, click on Add New. Once you're here, you're going to go ahead and do a search for Kadence. And this is the Kadence block. So these are Gutenberg blocks that give you page building capability with Kadence, and this is free. So go ahead and install and activate. All right, so once this is activated, you can see right here where it has the manage your Lottie animation. So every time you create an animation, there's actually a section in Kadence where that animation is stored so that you can use it in other parts of your site. Now we're going to go ahead and install a starter site for us. So let's go ahead and check our site just to make sure that, yes, so everything is installed. We now have the Kadence layout here already, the default layout. And then I'm going to do a couple other things here. I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go to general, and we're just going to title our site here. We'll call this Lottie Animations. And then I'm going to set up my time zone. And I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. Okay. And then next thing, just make sure that my permalinks are set to the correct permalink setting. It's usually the 5th one from the top right here. And that way I have clean URLs, and I'm going to go ahead and save that as well. Excellent. So now what we need to do is we need a starter template to be able to speed this up a little bit. We're not going to build a website from scratch. So what I want to do is I'm going to go over here to the dashboard. And when you install the Kadence theme, you're also invited to install the Kadence starter templates. The starter templates are a combination of free and pro theme templates that you can use with Kadence to go ahead and get a quick jumpstart on building out a site. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. You can also install it from the plugins repository as well, but since we already have this notification, I'm going to go ahead and click on Install Kadence Starter Templates and activate. And now it is installed. I make sure that this is set to Gutenberg because we're going to be using Gutenberg blocks to build this out. And then you can see here we have all these great templates that we can go ahead and install. And these are all full-blown websites that you can build out and customize to your liking. Okay, the one we're going to use is this soap shop right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. I'm very happy with the layout and colors, and I'm also happy with the font styles, but you can make those changes right here where you can change the color scheme or you can change the font styles, whichever one you like. So I can say if I wanted a dark motif here, I could do that, or different colors. Just go ahead and select whichever one you want. But I'm happy with the default one that it came with. That looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on install the full site. Okay, I am already subscribed, so I'm going to go ahead and skip this and start importing. Okay, so now the import is complete and our site is now ready. So I'm going to click here to view the finished site. And here we are. In just a few minutes, we now have a full-blown e-commerce website that we can go ahead and test our Lottie animations with. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Lottie Animation Block from Kadence. So what we're going to do here is going to go ahead and create a new page where we're going to test out the features of this new block. We're going to call it the Lottie Animation Block page. And in typical fashion, you can either click the plus sign over here and do a search for Lottie, and you will get the Lottie animations, or you could open it up over here where you can see all the blocks that are available to you, and we're going to go ahead and select the Lottie Animation Block. When you first click it in, you're going to get this default WordPress logo animation that's going on here, and you can absolutely change this. But what I want to draw your attention to are all the options that are available once you add the block to a page. Over here on the right hand side, the options for the block include having the block being pulled from a remote URL. This means that the URL exists somewhere else, and you're pulling it into your website from here. And then you also have your playback settings, so you can either show the controls for this block, meaning if you want the user to see the controls, you can do that. I typically will turn that off. You can set it to autoplay. Maybe you only want it to play when people hover over it, or only play when the page is scrolling. Then you can also set your playback speed. You can loop the playback, and then you can even create a delay between loops, and you can limit how many times this animation will loop. Then there are also size controls where you can control the size of this. So right now this looks really big. It's taking up a majority of the page. I can go ahead and reduce this to 250 pixels, and this looks a little bit more manageable. Okay, and that is really all the settings that are available, but these are actually plenty of settings. And because of the full capabilities of Gutenberg, you can actually use this in a lot more complex way than what is being shown over here. And we're going to go through that when we start showing some of our examples. Okay. All right, so where do we get Lottie animation files? Well, Lottie animation files are actually available for free, and all you need to do is if you go to lottiefiles.com, you will see a nice little repository where there are free Lottie files for you to be able to use in your design. So these are free for you to use, but they also have a marketplace as well where you can actually purchase some unique Lottie animations for your website. When you get over here, you'll want to create a login for yourself. So you want to create an account. Excuse me, not login. You want to create an account, and when you create that account, you can then go ahead and download and grab remote URLs for the Lottie files that you want to use. So, and you just simply do a search for whatever it is that you're doing. So let's say I did a search for, we have a soap website. So maybe I could do a search for shower. Here we go. And let's see if there are any. Yeah, so here's some animations that have to do with shower. Or maybe you want to create something else where you could do cycle. It's an example. And here are some bicycle animations. Right, so you can actually find a lot of different types of animations. And then when you find the one that you like, you can go ahead and pull it into your website. So let's say I really like this one right here. Okay, when you click on it, you'll be able to see the animation, and then you can even customize an animation before you even pull it into your website. So I can change the background color. Let's say I want the background color to be green. Then I can just select green before I actually pull this in. I actually like that as white, it's fine. And then you also have the capability of editing each individual layer, right? So right over here, there, you see all these different colors that you have here. They're actually represented. They're all represented right here. So you can change these colors. This one has a lot of colors, but they're all represented here. You can change these colors to whatever color you want. So let's say I don't want this brown hat. I would rather he had a red hat. I can just go ahead and change that here, click on update, and now he is in red. So anyway, we're gonna leave it actually as is, so the way that it is. And all I need to do now is I can either download this and have the actual file, or I can just grab the Lottie animation URL and pull it in remotely. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. So I'm gonna copy this link, and then I'm gonna go back to my site. I'm gonna select the Lottie animation that's here by default, and I'm gonna go ahead and paste that in. Okay. Once you paste it in, it will pull it in immediately, and then you can go ahead and start customizing this the way that you want. If you wanted this to be a local file, that's also very easy. Just go back to the Lottie website, click on download, and you want to download the Lottie JSON file. It's going to download to your computer. Once that's downloaded, go back to the site, and we're going to go ahead and change this to a local file. And then I'm going to say upload a Lottie file. We're going to call this cyclist so we can find it later. And then I'm going to browse my computer, and we're going to grab the file that I just downloaded, the JSON file, upload. Okay, so here's a local file. Okay, so it's literally that easy. So up next now, we're going to show how to be able to use this in interesting ways on your website, kind of like we demonstrated in the beginning of this video. So I'm going to show 4 different ways to be able to use this. Now that you know how to add a lot of animations at a basic level, we're going to go ahead and do some more fun stuff with it right now. All right, so let's create our first Lottie animation. And the one we're going to be creating actually is the simplest one, which is the one on the Contact Us page for the starter template. So we're going to be doing a couple of things here. The Lottie animation is right here. So this is a woman. She's scrolling through her phone and sitting on top of the form, the contact form. So we're going to create this one first. And then we're also going to place this button right here. So you notice this button wasn't here before. When you click on the button, it actually slides you right down to this section right here so that you can interact with the form. Okay, so let's go ahead and create this. Okay, so let's go to our site that doesn't have the animations on it. So this is just the regular contact page from this starter template. So you click on contact, and we basically want to add a button here, and we want to add our Lottie file right on top of this form. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So click on edit page to take you to the editing view of the page. And then in here, we want to add a button here, and we want to add our Lottie animation right there. So first, let's go ahead and add our button. So I'm going to go ahead and click in this area right here, or you can just click on that last paragraph, hit the enter key, and it'll create a new block line for you. We click on the plus sign, and we want to look for the advanced button. If you don't see it, just go ahead and do a search for button, and you'll have the advanced button. We want the Kadence version, so click on that. And then we're going to put some text in this button. We'll call this send message. Okay, then over here on the right, under the button settings, what we want to do here is we just want to select the theme style. So under the button inherit styles, you can style this button manually if you want, or you can allow it to follow your color scheme. So I'm going to let it follow the color scheme of the theme. I'm going to go ahead and click on theme, and it'll automatically style it for me according to the color scheme that this starter template has. Okay, so it saves us a lot of time. Then the next thing that we want to do is we want that when you click on this button, we want it to slide the page down to the contact form section. To be able to do that, we have to go to that section, select that row, and on the right hand side under advanced, we're going to give it an anchor tag. And the anchor tag is going to be called contact form, all one word, contact form. You can name it anything you want, but you want to follow this format where each word is capitalized and you don't have any spaces or gaps. So contact form, I'm going to go ahead and copy this text, and then I'm going to go back to my button, select the button. On the right hand side, open up the button settings, and here where it says button link, go ahead and click your cursor in there, and then you're going to put in a hashtag and go ahead and paste that anchor tag in there. Then remember to click the submit arrow right here so that it goes ahead and saves that, and then click on update. So now when we view the page, if I click on send message, it just slides me down to this section right here. Okay, now all that remains is for us to go ahead and add our Lottie animation. So let's go back to the editing view of the page again, the block editor. Here we are. All right, and we want to add our Lottie animation right over there. So first we have to get the Lottie animation. So if we look at our reference site here, we have this lady, and she is tapping on a phone and sitting right on top of the form. Okay, we're going to replicate the same thing. So to do that, we're going to go to the free Lottie animation website. So that's lottiefiles.com. And make sure you've already created an account. The account is free to create. And then we're going to go ahead and search for the animation. Now, the animation that I use is called the tapping girl, actually tapping phone. So tapping phone girl or tapping phone woman, but we'll just do tapping phone, and we'll run that search, and you'll see here she is right here. Now, when you select any of these animations, you don't have to use this one, but you can use any one you want. But when you select these, the important thing to remember is that you can download these as a file, or you can grab the remote URL. For this tutorial, I'm going to grab the remote URL. But if you're grabbing the remote URL, just remember the name of the Lottie animation in case you want to find it again later, because there's actually quite a giant library of Lottie animations in there, so you can easily lose it and not find where it was. Anyway, so girl tapping phone, we're going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to go ahead and copy the JSON link right here, so the Lottie animation URL. And then I'm going to go back to my page, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign directly under this paragraph, and I'm going to select Lottie animations. If you don't see Lottie animations, just go ahead and do a search for it, Lottie, and this will pop up. We'll select that, and it places it right there for me. And then over here on the right hand side under the settings, I'm going to leave it at remote URL, and I want the source file. I'm going to go ahead and paste that JSON link that we collected from the Lottie animation website, lottiefiles.com. Okay, so now the animation is in there. So now it's definitely a little too big. It's taking up a lot of space, and so we definitely don't want to leave it like this. So what we want to do is we want to bring the form closer to the Lottie animation here. Okay, so I'm going to leave all the settings the same. I like how this is actually set up just perfectly for what we want, and it's looping correctly. But what I want to do is I do want to reduce the size. So I'm going to come over here to size controls, and over here there is a slider that will allow you to play with the size of this. So you just slide it to a point where you are happy. So I'm good at about 345. Okay, that's good enough for me. Okay, great. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to close the gap here. So there's a lot of gap there. So I'm going to go ahead and select this block right here. This is a row layout which the form is sitting in. And then I'm going to move over to the right, go to the padding and margin. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a margin of -150. So that pulls it up for me so that that lady is directly on top of the form. I'm going to go ahead and update. And when I view the page, click on send message. I see that she's here, right here. So this is a little bit too high at 150 pixels. So I know I need to reduce this a little bit. So I'm going to go here, click on edit page. It's very easy to correct. Scroll down. And we're going to select the form again, the row that contains that form. If you're having a hard time selecting it, you can always open up your list view and you can find that row layout right over here. Now I'm going to go over here to the padding and margin, and I'm going to go ahead and reduce this by 50 pixels just to see how that looks. And when we view it, I'll open it in a new tab. Okay, it's looking a little bit better. So there's roughly about, this looks like about 20 pixels of more. So I'm going to go back. And from here, I'm going to increase this to 120. And just keep making adjustments till you get it just right. There's nothing wrong with that. Refresh. And here we are right here. And there's just a little bit of a sliver of space here. It's about 1 pixel. So just for good measure, we'll add 2 more pixels. Go back. We'll set this to 122. And when we view it, that looks a lot better. Okay, so now we have built out a really nice contact us section with the lady sitting on top of the form just to give it some personality. So if I click on send message, there it is, right? And that is how you add a Lottie animation to your contact page. Okay, so let's create our second Lottie animation use case, and that is when somebody fills out the form and they hit send a message, it takes them to a thank you page, and the thank you page has these fireworks going off. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and create that right now. So let's go back to our reference site, actually our main site here. So that was a reference site. And we don't have a thank you page here now, so we're going to go ahead and create one. And I'm going to show you a very easy way to do this. So I'm just going to go to the editing section of our Contact Us page. So click on Edit Page. And we're going to go ahead and click in the first row. And then I want you to press Command A, and that will copy all the blocks that are on this page. Once you've done that, just leave everything as is. We're going to go ahead and exit out of this. Go to New Page. We'll call this thank you, and then let's set up our page. So over here under the page settings, go ahead and we'll disable the page title. We will set the layout to be full width. We want the content style to be unboxed, and we're going to disable the vertical padding. Then just put your cursor right over here where it says type / to choose a block. Make sure your cursor's in there, and then press Command V or Control V if you're using a PC, and that will paste in all the blocks that you just copied. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to make a few changes. First, we don't want this text, so we're going to delete that. We're going to change this text to thank you, and we're going to get rid of this button. We don't need that anymore. And then down here, we're not going to need any of this, right? Because, well, we don't need it. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And we're also going to delete this map. It's HTML block here. All right, and now we have a pretty decent thank you page. And then you can just, we can make this, actually, just select this row right here. And then go to your settings, padding and margin. And we're going to get rid of this margin there, and maybe extend this a little bit bigger, so I can select this row, structure settings, and I'm going to set the minimum height here to 500 pixels like that, so we have some space. Then go ahead and publish it, and we now have a thank you page that we can work with. Okay, so it looks just like the contact us page, but except it says thank you. Now the next thing that we need to do then is now go ahead and add our fireworks to the page. So to be able to do that, just go back to lottiefiles.com where we got the girl tapping on the phone one, and this time we're going to search for fireworks. So you can see we have lots of different options for the fireworks. The one that I used was this one right here, and this one is called, this is a rocket cracking animation. So if you search for this is a rocket cracking animation, you will get this fireworks going off. I'm going to go ahead and grab the JSON URL, which is this right here. Copy it. And then we're going to go back to our thank you page, and we're going to place that Lottie animation right over here. So click on edit to take you to the editing view of the page. And right over here, I'm going to hit enter. So I just put my cursor here and I hit enter to create a new block line. And then I'm going to go ahead and search for Lottie by doing a / and typing Lottie. I'm going to select the Lottie Animation Block, which is this one right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste my remote URL into the field here that I copied from lottiefiles.com. And now we can see our animation is in place. Okay. Now it's pretty big and it's taking up a lot of space. So what I'm going to do here is I'm over here on the right hand side. I'm going to scroll down to the size controls, and I'm going to reduce this size of it to be just about as wide and small as, a little bit wider than the thank you. So that's about 450 pixels wide. Okay, that looks good. Now the other thing that I want is I want the fireworks to be on top of this text right here. So it kind of looks like it's behind the text or on top of the text or embedded within the text. So to be able to do that, if you select the Lottie animation, one of the things that you notice is over here on the size controls, you have the margin and padding aspect of it. A negative margin on the top of an element will pull it upwards. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click in the margin section here for the Lottie animation, and I'm going to start with a negative 150 pixels. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Let's increase that a little bit so it's right on the thank you. So I'm going to add about 30 more pixels to that, to making it 180 pixels. It's still a little too low for me, so I'm just going to make it 200 pixels. 200 pixels. There you go. Now that looks good. All right, that looks great. So let's go ahead and make this actually look a little bit more presentable. There's like too much space over here and very little space over here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the structure setting right here. I'm going to go to, select the row, go to the structure settings, and let's eliminate that entirely. So, and then let's see what's going on with this block. So there's about 145 pixels happening here, and there's 100 pixels happening over here. So I can actually just put my cursor here and drag this to be the same. So 145 right over there. All right, and click on update and view. And that looks a heck of a lot better. Okay, and that will conclude creating a thank you page with a Lottie animation. All right, so these final two Lottie animations that we're going to be doing next, we're going to need to use the Pro version of Kadence, or the Kadence Theme Pro add-on, to be able to do this. And that is because for these animations, we're actually going to be utilizing the Elements feature, which is only available in Kadence Pro. So far, the animations we've been doing, like the thank you and the contact us, those you can do with the free version of Kadence. But once you start doing more advanced things, such as having this and being able to click on it and then having a modal pop-up show up like this, you're going to need the Elements feature to be able to do that. The same thing also goes for the 404 page, right? So if you trigger a 404, this is a custom 404 page rather than the default 404 that comes with Kadence. So if we wanted to look at a default one, and let's just do a phony page here, this is the default that typically comes with Kadence. So you can actually create your own custom 404 page and just make it more useful to your users, and that is what we've done here. And to be able to do that, you are going to need the elements feature to be able to add additional elements to a page or replace the content of the 404 page. So this next part of our tutorial is going to require the pro version of Kadence. Now, if you don't have the pro version of Kadence, I highly recommend you pick it up. It is an amazing value for the investment, and you get a whole host of additional tools and plugins and features that lets you take your design and development to the next level using the Kadence suite of tools. Okay, so I do have a link in the description below that is an affiliate link. If you want to support the channel, you can use that link to go ahead and head on over to CadenceWP and pick up your bundle or pick up your Kadence Pro add-on, and then follow along with this tutorial. Of course, you do not have to do that. You can also just go directly to CadenceWP.com and pick it up there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and do this really cool development right here. So this is where you're scrolling down the page and then a gift box pops up trying to get your attention. You click on it and there's an opt-in or some kind of gift or some kind of benefit that you're offering. It doesn't have to be an opt-in, but for this tutorial, we're going to do it as an opt-in. So let's go ahead and build this out. All right, so back on our builder site, we're going to need to install 2 additional Kadence plugins, and these are the pro versions of these plugins. So in your Kadence account, once you've picked up your Essential Bundle or your Lifetime Bundle, you're going to have access to all the Kadence plugins, and we're going to need 2 of them to be able to pull off this type of animation right here, or this kind of sequence where you're clicking on the animation and it's triggering this pop-up. Okay, so to be able to do that, I'm going to need the Kadence Pro plugin premium add-on for the Kadence theme, and we're going to need Kadence Blocks Pro. So you get access to these and all the other plugins once you've picked up your Kadence bundle. All right, so we're going to need both of them. So just go ahead and download the Kadence Pro plugin and then the Kadence Blocks Pro. Now, the reason we need the Kadence Blocks Pro is because in Kadence Blocks Pro is where you will find this Modal pop-up. So this is a specific type of block that creates a modal where everything is subdued in the background and the main item is brought to the forefront. So we need that block, and that is only available in the Kadence Blocks Pro. So go ahead and download these to your computer, and then we'll upload it to our current website. So I'm going to go back to our builder site here. I'm going to go to the dashboard, and you're going to go to plugins, and we're going to click on add new, upload plugin, choose file, and here are the 2 plugins right here. So let's start with the Kadence Pro first. Install, activate plugin, and then click on add new again, upload plugin, and this time we want the Kadence Blocks Pro. So this gives us additional blocks, including the Modal pop-up, and activate. All right, and then you need to add your license key to be able to activate the Blocks Pro, actually for both of them. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that's all activated. And then it looks like there is actually a new update for the Kadence Pro Premium add-on. So let's go ahead and update that now. So we have the latest version. Okay, so everything's installed and now activated. All right, so next I need to go to Appearance, click on Kadence. And when you get here, you're gonna see this hooked element. So these are the Pro add-ons. They're all turned off by default. What I want to do is I want to turn the hooked elements on because I'm going to need this to create the 2 elements that I need to create that sequence. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. And now if I refresh this dashboard, we'll see now that we have an elements option underneath the Kadence menu right here. Next, I'm going to go to elements. And the first element that I want to create is the trigger button, which is going to be an animation. Okay. So I'm going to click on add new, and we want this to be a fixed element, meaning it's going to be fixed in place while people are scrolling up and down on the page. Okay, we're going to title this the animated button and trigger. Okay, so this is going to trigger the pop-up. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the plus sign here, and what I'm looking for is a row layout. So I'm going to select a row layout. I want a single column row, And you'll find out why I'm using a row here instead of just using the straight element right away. I need the row for a very specific reason. So now that we have this first column, one column row, I'm going to click on the plus sign, and then I'm going to add my Lottie animation to it. Okay. Now I need to go to lottiefiles.com and grab the gift box. So I'll come over here. I already have it poised and ready, but if you are coming here for the first time, or you're coming to your Lottie Files account, just go ahead and do a search for gift box, and you'll see this gift box will pop up for you. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and grab the Lottie animation URL. So just copy that. I'm going to go back to our site, and we're going to go ahead and paste that into the Lottie file animation. So just make sure you have the settings clicked on here, the block settings itself. And then under Lottie animation URL, we're going to replace what's already there with our new Lottie animation. Okay, so we can see it right here. It's really big. So just scroll down to the size controls, and we're going to reduce the size to 200 pixels. Okay, so now this is a lot more manageable and more presentable. All right, now outside of this row, I'm going to add some text. Click on the plus sign, select the advanced text option. I'm going to go ahead and center this text, and we're going to say grab free gift. Okay. And I want to set this up to be uppercase, and the size can be 18 pixels. And the color, I want the color to match the box somewhat. So let's move that over here and move that to the corner there. So now it matches. Then the other thing is there's a lot of spacing here, and some of the spacing is just because of Gutenberg and creating some spacing because of the plus signs and things like that. But I know that there's some default spacing with this heading. So I'm going to select the heading. I'm going to move over to the right, scroll down, look for the spacing settings, and I'm going to zero out the margin on top. Okay, and then I'm also going to select the row. I know there's some spacing with this row as well. So I'm going to select the row. I'm going to go over here to the padding and margin option. And whoops, that's the section actually. So we want the row. Let me open up my list view and make sure that I'm selecting the row layout. There it is. Click on the padding and margin. I can see that there's some padding on the top and bottom here. So I'm going to zero out the one on the bottom, and that brings everything as close as possible. Okay, looks pretty good. The next thing that I need to do is I need to set up the page settings. So how I want this to perform on the page, where I want it to be, and so on. To be able to do that, you're going to scroll up here to the left-hand side, and you're going to select the element settings. Under the element settings, we want the placement to be fixed bottom after scroll, no space, below footer. Okay, this is the one we want. And then we're going to leave the priority at 10. The scroll distance till appear means at 300 pixels. So this means that once you scroll 300 pixels down, then the box jumps out and starts jumping up and down. The width right here is set to 100%. We don't want this. We actually want the width to be auto and floated to the right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the drop down. I'm going to select auto, and I'm going to say that I want the position to be on the right. And then the X distance from edge, that's going to be 20 pixels. So that's just the X axis, 20 pixels. And the Y distance from edge is going to be also 20 pixels. So it gives us 20 pixels of space from the edge of your screen and the element itself. Right? And then the final thing we're going to set up here is the display settings. So where do we want this to show? Now you can set this up to show on every page if you want, but I really want this only on the front page. So select the front page, and that's it. All we need to do now is publish. And then we can test out and see how our element looks. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the front end of the website. Let's open up in a new tab. And if I start to scroll, once I hit 300 pixels, you can see our animation is out and trying to get our attention. So that looks pretty good. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to make this an official trigger for a Modal pop-up. To do that, we have to create the Modal pop-up itself and then turn this Lottie animation into a trigger link. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. The next step is to create our Modal pop-up. So to do that, we're going to go to the dashboard. We're going to go to Appearance, and we're going to click on Elements under the Kadence menu item. And we're going to click on Add New. And this time, we're just going to add a regular content section element type. So we're going to select that, and we're going to call this Gift Pop-up. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and click the plus sign over here, or you can click this plus sign right here. Just do a search for Modal. This is a part of Kadence Blocks Pro. This is a block in Kadence Blocks Pro. Select the Modal block and it'll drop it right into the block editor for you. We can go ahead and close this out so we can see what we're building here, okay? So initially this Modal is set up already with a button, and then we have a container here. The container can contain anything that we want. In this specific use case, we're actually going to be creating an opt-in form for it, okay? So let's go ahead and design that opt-in form. I'm going to click inside of the Modal box. I'm going to do a /, and I'm going to start typing row. I want a row layout in here. I want the Kadence row layout, so I'm going to select this one right here, and I want a 2-column row layout, but I want one where the left side is smaller than the right side. So this is the row column that I'm looking for. I'm going to select that one to start, and then I'm also going to configure this outer box because I really want everything to be flush against the edges, and I can already see that we have some padding going on here. So just make sure that the Modal box is selected. Over here on the right hand side, you're going to go to the Modal box styling. We're going to scroll down, and where you see the Modal padding, just go ahead and zero that out. Okay, great. So now everything looks pretty flush, but you can already see there's still about 25 pixels of padding, and that's coming from the row that we added in here, this row that you're actually looking at. So we're going to select that row, and over here on the right hand side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select the padding and margin options, and I'm going to zero that out as well. Okay. All right. And then the final thing that I'm going to zero out is if we click through, you can see here there's about 30 pixels of spacing happening right here as well in this row layout. So I'm going to select that. On the right hand side here where it says column gutter, I'm going to go ahead and select no gutter. So now everything is flush against each other. This is exactly how I want it. And now that it's like that, what I can do now is I can go ahead and start adding elements to each section. So I'm going to select the first column, which is this one right here. And to make it easier on myself, I'm going to open up the list view and select the first column, or the section is what it's called, right? And now that I have this section selected, I'm going to move over here to the right side, open up the container style settings. I'm going to click on the background image option, and we're going to add a background image to that column. Okay, you can pick any image you like. I like this one. Let's go ahead and select it. Okay, great. So now the image is in there, and just so we can have a better idea of what we have in here, I'm going to come over here to the right side of this, scroll down, look for the padding and margin settings, and we're going to add some padding to this. So let's add 170 pixels to the top and 170 pixels to the bottom. So now we can see exactly what we have here. Okay. Then next, we need to add our form. Okay, so we have an opt-in form that has a name, email, and then a button, and then some text on the top and bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on the plus sign right over here, select the advanced text, and we're gonna say get your free gift. Whoops. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and center this text, and then let's reduce the size a little bit. It's really big, so I'm going to set this size. Let's look at 36 pixels. Still too big. 28 pixels. Okay, that's a lot better. All right, and then right next to this one, I'm going to add another advanced text. This time it's going to be paragraph text, and this is going to say enter your name and email to get your free gift coupon code in your inbox. Okay, we're going to style this to be a little bit darker. Actually, let's go ahead and center the text as well. And we're going to make this dark. So I'll select the color. I want this really dark so we can see it. Excellent. Next, we need to add our form. So click on the plus sign, and you can do a search for form. I can already see that there's a form option right here in the shortcut. So I'm going to select the Kadence form, and it drops in the form for us. I'm going to delete the message box. We don't need that. And for the submit, I'm going to say get your free gift. Okay. Next, I need to configure this form a little bit so that it's a little bit more compact. So I'm going to select the name field, and over here on the right, I'm going to toggle the show label to off. And then in the field placeholder, I'm going to enter some instructions. Enter your name. I'm going to do the same thing on the email field, toggle the show label off, and in the field placeholder, we're going to say enter your email. So this placeholder will serve as a label and a placeholder instruction as well. Okay. For the submit button, that has its own style tab. So scroll down, look for the submit styles. And all I want for this to be is I want it to be full width. So I'm going to go ahead and click the button width to be full. All right, now that looks good. Now over here on the left-hand side where we have the list view, I want to create some padding around all this so that it's not so, the text and content is not so against the edges here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the second column or the second section over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to open up the padding and margin options. We're going to add, let's add 20 pixels to the top. And then on the right, I want 40 pixels. On the left, we'll add 40 pixels as well. And on the bottom, let's see what 20 pixels looks like. Okay, that's probably too much there. So let's go ahead and reduce this to 10 pixels. And we'll reduce the top to also 10 pixels as well. Okay, so this actually looks pretty good. It looks actually ready. Let's go ahead and save our work. So I'm gonna click publish. All right, so now this is saved. Now there are a couple more things we need to do here because we need to actually link this to the animated trigger button that we created with the Lottie animation, the gift box jumping up and down, right? So we need to set it up so that when you click on that gift box, this Modal pop-up shows up. To do that, we're gonna go to the settings for this element here. The element settings are up here to the right. They look like page settings, but they're actually element settings because you're in the element block editor. We're going to select that, and I'm going to go ahead and close this. We're going to select this so that you can see the element options here. And under the placement, you're going to leave that as none, right? We don't need to place this anywhere because it's going to be triggered by a link. Under the display here, we're going to say we want this to show on the front page because that's where we have our trigger. So we want this to show on the front page. So now we're done with our element setup. Next, we're going to go back to the block here and look at the block settings. So over here so far, this is actually configured to pop up based on this button right here. So we don't want to use this button. So to change that, we're going to go to link settings. And what we're going to do is we're going to toggle off the show link. When you do that, it gives you the option to add a custom ID that will serve as a trigger. And then whatever serves as that trigger must also have the class of Modal trigger. So you can see the instructions right over here. It tells you exactly how to utilize this. Okay, so we need to add a custom ID that we're going to hook up to that Lottie animation gift box. That's going to go ahead and trigger this when that's clicked. So let's choose a custom ID of gift pop-up. Okay, something very simple. I'm going to go ahead and copy it so I have it exactly. So gift pop-up is going to be the custom open ID for this Modal. I'm going to go ahead and click on update. I do want to make one more edit. So this has a close button right here. I want the close button to be very visible to the user. So I'm going to come over here to my block settings, and we're going to look at the Modal close button and just go ahead and open up the settings here. And I want the color to be white and the background to be our theme color, right, like that. Okay, that looks very nice. All right, go ahead and update. And now there's a couple of things that we need to do for this to be able to trigger on the front end of the website. So if we go to the front end of the website right now, let's go ahead and refresh this. All right, we have our box jumping up and down, grabbing our attention. When you click on it, nothing happens because this isn't linked. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to link this to our pop-up. Okay, to do that, we're going to go back to the back end of the website, to the dashboard, go to appearance, elements, and here where you see the animated button trigger, we're going to go ahead and click on edit. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to add a link to our Lottie animation. Now, Lottie Animation Block by itself does not have linking capability. Maybe this is something that Kadence will add later on, but there's no way to actually add a link. This is why we put it inside of a row, okay? Which means that anything we add into that row will also be added into a section, okay? So if we open up this list view, here's the row layout, here's a section, and here's the Lottie animation. But anything you add into a row automatically gets added into a section, or what we call a column. And our columns in Kadence are linkable, meaning you can actually add a link to a section. So by adding a link to the section, we automatically add a link to everything within that section. So I'm going to go ahead and select the section. Over here on the right hand side where it says overlay link, I'm going to open that up. And right here where it says link entire section, I'm going to place my cursor in the field, type a hashtag, and then add my gift pop-up ID. Okay. Once you've added that, go ahead and click the submit arrow here, and it will store it inside this field. The second thing we need to do is we need to add the class of Modal trigger to that section as well. So I'm going to go here to the advanced, open that up, and scroll down. And right here, you want to go ahead and add Modal trigger. So I already added it already, but you will need to add it in there because it may not be in yours automatically. So you're going to go ahead and add the class of Modal trigger in here, and then update. Okay. And now we've linked it to our pop-up, but we have one more thing that we need to do. So let's go ahead and exit out of here, back to our elements. So over here where we have our elements, we have the gift pop-up. We have it set to display on the front page. Now we actually need to add it to the front page. Okay. To do that, we're going to go ahead and grab the shortcode that is created with every element you create in Kadence. This is one of the most powerful features of the Kadence elements, is that you have a shortcode that you can embed on any page anywhere. So we're going to grab this shortcode, go ahead and copy it. Then we're going to go to the front end of the website. And then we're going to edit that front page. So go ahead and click on edit page. And then somewhere in the page itself, we're going to go ahead and paste that shortcode. Okay. So if you don't have a spot, so let's say you come in here and there's nothing here right now. Okay, you can open up list view and you can insert it anywhere. So let's say I want to insert it here above this row. What you can do is just select that row layout. It will highlight it in the list view. Click on the options ellipsis right here, and then click on insert before. When you do that, it'll add a space for you to add any block you want. So from here, you can click on the plus sign, and we are looking for a shortcode block, which comes in Gutenberg. And you can go ahead and paste your element there, element ID in there. Okay. Now that you've done that, go ahead and update. And then we're going to go ahead and view the page. And then let's test out and see if we did this correctly. So as I scroll, here's our gift box. It's trying to get our attention. It does. And so you go ahead and you click on it and the modal pops up. Okay. So now our modal is up. So now you can kind of see we actually have a little bit too much spacing here. So this is very, very easy for us to fix. So let's go ahead and fix it right now. So I'm going to come over here, back to the dashboard, appearance, elements, and we're going to access the gift pop-up. All right. So we'll go ahead and take a look at areas where we have additional margins or paddings going on. So I know that for the heading text, there's always some default padding. So I'm going to go ahead and default margins, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and select the get your free gift heading text on the right hand side, scroll down, go to the spacing settings, and where it has a margin, I'm going to go ahead and zero out the bottom. So that pulls it up immediately. I'm also going to do the same thing for the regular text here. Scroll down, select the spacing settings, and zero out the bottom on the margin there. Okay. And then I'm also going to look at the section that I have. So if we look at this section, actually the second section, there we go. And let's look at the padding and margin, see what we did there. So 10, 40, 10, 40. So this is actually fine. This should be fine. Let's go ahead and update. And then let's check it out on the front end. So sometimes you'll have to make these kinds of adjustments to get your modal looking just right. Okay, so I've made the adjustments. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to refresh the screen. And then let's go ahead and see how that looks now. So that looks a heck of a lot better. I'm still seeing way too much space at the top here. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to come over here to the edit element. And we're going to find that where that spacing is coming from. It's definitely coming from the section, and it also looks like it's coming from the heading as well. So I'm going to come over here, click on the heading, come over here on the right side here, spacing settings, and at the top I'm going to add 0 margin. And then here at the section, padding and margin, I'm going to 0 this out as well. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it at 10 pixels. Update. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the Lottie animation. Just close this. Refresh, the home screen. Refresh, click on the box again, and now everything is contained inside of the box just the way that we like it. So now I can go ahead and make whatever stylings that I want to make it so that it is just right for me. So now that I've removed all that extra spacing, now I can add back in about 10 pixels here. Okay, and on this top one, 5 pixels. Back to the home page. Let's close this down, refresh the screen, and now let's check it out. Perfect. Okay, now everything lines up perfectly. So that is how you can actually turn a element that has a Lottie animation inside of it into a trigger for a Modal pop-up. Okay, so when we click on this, it works just great. All right, up next, we're going to do the final Lottie animation demonstration where we take a Lottie animation and create a custom 404 page. So it's always a good idea to have a 404 page that is useful to people who may land there, right? So sometimes you may have a page that maybe used to exist or actually doesn't exist. Somebody gets there by accident, and when they get there, if all a person sees is this, something like this, oops, that page can't be found, and then maybe try a search. So this is useful because people can search for something, but there's also lots of space here and lots of things that you can benefit with. So if you ever wanted to create a custom 404 page, then you can actually do that if you have Kadence Pro, and you can use the elements feature to be able to do that. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now, and then in keeping with our tutorial, we're just going to add a Lottie animation to make that even more dynamic. All right, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to go back to the dashboard over here, and I'm going to go to Appearance, Elements. I'm going to click on Add New, and this is going to be a content section, and we'll call this Custom 404 Page. Okay, now our page is just going to be very simple. We will add a row layout, 2-column row. And then we're going to go ahead and set the structure settings for this row. So on the right hand side, look for the structure settings, and we're going to set that content max width to be inherited from the theme. Then all we need to do now is just put some text here and our Lottie animation on the right to give it some more personality. So I'm going to click on the plus sign over here. I'm going to select the advanced text block from Kadence, and we're just going to type, oops, you have reached a page that doesn't, so we'll say, exist. Okay, just literally that simple. We'll make this really big, so I'm going to come over here and we're going to set the size to 75 pixels, set the height to 75 pixels, line height. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do here, just going to add a button. So we'll use the advanced button. So do a /, start searching for advanced, and you'll see the advanced button. Select that. And then from here, we're just going to say back to home. And for this button, for some quick styling, we're going to go over here to the right-hand side on the button settings, and I'm just going to select the theme, which will automatically style it the way this theme is already styled for buttons. And I'm going to just go ahead and align that to the left. Okay, and that's really all you need to put here on this side. Now on this side, we're going to add a Lottie animation. So click on the plus sign and search for Lottie. Select the Lottie animation. And then we're going to go to lottiefiles.com, back to our account here. And this is really easy. Just do a search for 404. Now, you don't always have to use a 404 Lottie animation. You can use any animation that you like. Okay, so whatever you feel is more appropriate for your page. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. Okay, this looks pretty good. I'm just going to copy the URL, go back to my element. Oops, that's not it. Here we go. Go back to my element, and we're going to go ahead and paste that remote URL in there. And there you have it. It's literally that simple. I'm going to select the row here, and let's align everything to the center. Okay. So there we are. Now you can actually make this more useful as well, since people are going to be here anyway, and this is an e-commerce website. Another thing that I could do is I could also add some products here, right? So right here below this, I'm going to go ahead and add a second row layout, and we're going to make this one column this time. Structure settings on the right hand side, we're going to set this to be content max width inherit from theme. And then I'm going to add some text here. And we can say, shop our secret 404 products, right? So these are products that you'll find only if you land on the 404 page. It's kind of something fun to do. And then click on the plus sign here. And if you search WooCommerce, right, this is a WooCommerce starter template. We can do hand-picked products, and I'll just select a couple of these. We'll do 4 of them. Say done. And then over here on the columns for this block, I'm going to go ahead and increase that to 4. Block here should be 4. There we go. Okay, and that is it. So now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and publish this. Now we need to tell Kadence that we want to use this as our custom 404 page, and not the existing one that it has now with the search element. So first thing we want to do, actually let's correct this. It should be custom 404 page. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do that is a couple of things. You're going to select the element settings here, and we're going to go to placement. And we want this placement to be replacing the 404 page. So if you keep looking through scroll down on the options here, and you'll find the 404 page section. We want to select replace 404 page content. Then we also have to set the display. So we're going to come over here, show on, and not found 404 is the option you want to select. Okay, so let's go ahead and update to save our work. And now all we need to do is just visit a page that doesn't exist on our site. So, and you can now see that we now have the custom 404 page showing up. It has our message, it has a Lottie animation, a link for going back to the home page, and then some products in case you want them to do some shopping. You can also put anything here really that would be a benefit to someone that stumbles upon this page. Okay, and with that will conclude our tutorial on the Lottie Animation Block in Kadence Blocks, and a few use cases on how to use them. Hey, if you like this tutorial, please go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and remember to hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I release new videos such as this one. I have a lot of videos coming up. Been working on it for the last few weeks, and I'm really looking forward to releasing these videos. I want to say thank you very much for watching the tutorial and for your support of the channel. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do read the comments and I do respond to them. Okay, once again, thank you very much. And until the next video, I will see you in the next one.